Hello there. Happy Tuesday of Valentine's Day week. Hope you're enjoying Kenny's awesome clues and thoughts about the skin. And I'm still here talking about the vagina and girl parts. And we're so thankful that we actually had people, kind of let us know about questions about the vagina yesterday. And that invitation extends beyond. So keep doing it every day. Private messages in. We're not telling anyone's names or anything, but it gives us a lot of content. And I was telling Lauren that I love to talk about the vagina, and you never knew how much I knew to think about until you get these questions, and it's so fun. And so the other thing I'd like to bring up today is a thought about the uterus. All right, the uterus is this little thing that's like your fist that's stuck in your pelvis if you still have it, because some people have had hysterectomies, right? But what other organ of your body gets so super huge it fills your whole abdominal cavity? You could bleed out from it in like two minutes, if you will. And then also, though, it squishes the baby out with all of the strength where the baby has no bruises. It is a cool organ. And its only two functions are to give you a period and squeeze the baby out. But what? Oh gosh, the uterus is amazing. So anyway, those are just a couple thoughts I had about the uterus today. On to the vagina. Okay, so what does a dry vagina mean? So a dry vagina just means it has a sensation of lack of lubrication. So I can have a dry vagina because I have no hormones, because I'm postmenopausal. I can also have a dry vagina because I'm completely not sexually aroused. So if someone's having sex and thinking about doing the laundry, or not so much into their experience necessarily, they will have vaginal dryness. If they are postmenopausal and they lack hormonal stimulation of the vagina, they will also be dry. And so dryness can afflict us during intercourse, because friction on a dry surface does not feel good. A dry vagina can also make us feel uncomfortable just because it rubs on our underpants, and it's just like your mouth being open and dry, and it doesn't feel good because it kind of sticks and it rubs. So there's so many reasons to not have a dry vagina. Okay. So the causes we talked about there, and one of the other causes here was, can pregnancy make a vagina dry? Absolutely. So when you think about after you've had, when you're pregnant, you have all these hormonal changes. All those hormonal changes can change the hormonal milieu, if you will, of the vagina. Also, once you deliver, the placenta comes out, all your hormones go, and if you decide to breastfeed, you technically are kind of like menopausal until your ovaries wake back up, which can take anywhere from like 6 months to a year to 2 years for some people, but usually by 6 months or a year they're back. Okay, so if you're breastfeeding is a natural contraceptive, meaning it's nature's way of saying if you're taking care of another, let's not start another one quite as of yet. So when that happens, your ovaries don't ovulate and there's no estrogen. So if you don't have estrogen, your vagina feels dry. Well, if you think, I've either had a baby taken out of my uterus, or I've actually had a baby come through my vagina, and if I don't have hormones, then that area has a little tougher time healing, but it is resilient. So it will heal, it just takes longer. So if you're postpartum, you're breastfeeding, and your vagina feels dry, you're a normal girl. Your vagina will return. Okay, how do we lubricate a dry vagina? Another question I would love to answer. Here we go. Okay, so there's tons of different lubricants and things like that. And hopefully Lauren and I were also talking about, we're not here to sell you anything. So the words that come out of my mouth are just a girl with a vagina who's taking care of a lot of people. Okay, so number one, you could always there are vaginal estrogen products. So those vaginal estrogen products include little tablets, rings, and creams. The issue with creams that I notice is that when we lay down at night, if I have stuff ooze out my vagina, I don't like it. And I don't like it to get all over my pants, and it's gunky and it's gross, plus sometimes it's super expensive. So if it's expensive, gunky, and gross, and I don't like the way it feels, it's hard to spend $300 on a vaginal cream, right? Then there's tablets. The little tablets you put up there, you kind of pop the little thing, they dissolve. Okay, and then there's also some, like a ring that you can get. And there's this other stuff called Invexi. We've talked about it before. It's this little purple tablet that you stick up in your vagina, and that really helps with lubrication. And the cool thing is now I've never stuck it up my vagina as of yet. I should try it at some point in time. But I think you could stick it in your vagina on the toilet, stand up and go about your day. Nothing leaks out, and it's super affordable. Whew, and it works. That is awesome. Okay, so Other things that can help lubricate a vagina is you can get lubricants. Now, I feel like there's a lot of scented lubricants and people want you to like bedazzle your vagina, but the vagina is bedazzled enough just by being herself. That's my personal opinion, but so be it. So the more like scents and things you put on it, it oftentimes doesn't like it and starts a cascade of irritation. I always say there's two things that make a woman happy: happy feet and a happy vagina. If your vagina gets unhappy, it doesn't feel good, and you want to itch it and scratch it all the time. Sometimes it takes a little, like few days, weeks, months to kind of regain your comfort down there. So just love on her, let her be. Don't put a lot of scented products down there because the vagina tends not to like scents. Okay. So the other thing you can use is go to the kitchen, get olive oil, vegetable oil, canola oil, whatever it is, and rub it down there. And you know what? That stuff keeps you slick. It's awesome. And it's usually hypoallergenic. So it's one of my most favorite lubrications for patients to use because it works, it's cheap, and readily available. Okay. We already talked about pregnancy being dry. Oh, yes. Oh, and I love this next question because this is one of the questions that came in that I didn't even think about, is that, girls who are growing up and their dads are their caregivers, guys have never had a vagina before. And so gosh love it, when we go through life, we as kids are looking to our parents or our adult, kind of caretakers, friends, to help guide us and teach us how to be human. Well, I only know what it's like to be myself, right? I really think that's what childhood and young adulthood like. It's like learning to be human, whatever that is. And we look to all those around us to teach us because we really don't have a knowledge base in doing it. We're just going for it. Okay. Now, if I've never had that body part, I don't even know how to teach someone. And if I'm afraid to talk about it, that doesn't help either. So, but that's normal. I mean, I don't really get a lot of people saying, I love to talk about the vagina. But if I had a shirt, I would always wear it around saying, I love to talk about the vagina. Because I do. Okay. So anyway, when you think about advice to talking to young daughters about their vagina is, number one, don't make it scary, right? I feel like when we say penis or when we say vagina, we feel like there's shame or guilt or we're being naughty or something's bad, but nothing is bad about that. Because when you fear something that you have to put a tampon or a pad in every month and that you've got blood coming out of it and cramps, it can kind of lead to this negative association. And then if you have to go in for exams and someone puts a speculum in your vagina and someone's going to put their fingers in and feel your parts and stuff, like, it can just be scary. And so I think the unknown is scary. So when you look at the American College of OBGYN website, they do talk about a lot that you can take your daughters into their physicians so they can sit and talk with them, and just find somebody that you trust and they feel open to talk about. Because if you flip my pelvis this way and look at it, right, you got your urethra up front, you got your vagina right here, and your rectum right here. And so your vagina has the introitus, and the introitus is the opening. So some of us, when we're like walking along, before we've been sexually active, the introitus has this like ring around it, which is a little constrictive. So some girls, when you try to put a tampon in, you're like, I cannot do it, it's getting stuck, it hurts. So having the opportunity to come in and talk with somebody to help them understand how to put one in, it can be super empowering. The other thing too is you got to kind of jiggle your pelvis around a little bit and let your vagina guide the tampon in and not force it. Because if you're forcing it in, you're pushing against your anatomy. And sometimes how our vagina is oriented, it just requires you to kind of roll with it a little bit. So you can see that if you listen to your body, and if it hurts or you're scared, ask for advice. And if you feel like something isn't working, reach out for help. Because nobody has ever, when I was 16, I'd never been 16 before. It's the first time I did it, and gosh help it, no one was pulling me aside telling me what was going on with the vagina or my period. I just know I got a little pads. I sat in the bathroom by myself trying to put a tampon in. It felt weird. It didn't go well the first time. You walk around and you wonder if you even did it right, and then after a while you kind of get the hang of it, but it's trial and error. And if you never feel comfortable talking about your fear or talking about your vagina, then you're always kind of pushing against this part of your body that's really important for you, with childbearing and with fertility and with relationships, or just even with pleasure. So I guess what I would say for dads or for girls who haven't really had a woman that they feel open to talk about or something like that is just reach out and don't feel ashamed, don't feel guilt, and ask your questions. Email us in, privately text us or whatever, not privately text us, but privately Facebook us in, because I'll address whatever questions people have and talk about anatomy or some of these difficult things, and if they're logged on our website. So if anyone could ever take one of these and send it on to someone that they know are struggling, I just think it takes a village for us all to rise up together, to understand our body, to not feel shame and guilt, and the more we talk about it, we can only get better from that point. So I hope that helps. that person that doesn't know a lot about their vagina, trust your vagina. It rocks. It's resilient. It's like one of the most resilient parts of your body at healing. It can take a ton of beating. It just does. And it keeps coming back. And its potential never leaves until the day you die. I mean, think of it. It's next to where you urinate and you have a bowel movement and a baby comes out, and a lot of times it gets a little injured during that period of time, and it heals up like a freaking champ. I mean, that is amazing. And we're built for that, which means life is hard. Your body is easy. So trust your body, because it's built to carry you from the day you're created until the day you die. So those are my words today about the vagina. So let us know if you have any more questions after that, because tomorrow we get to talk about the vagina again. Oh my gosh, and it's only Wednesday. This is so awesome. So I hope you have a great day, and happy pre-Valentine's Day.